Well, good morning, Mr. Espinosa. It's lovely to see you on the porch this morning. It's so giddy, giddy
Well,
with excitement.
that's a scary thought. You don't get out much, do you?
That's not right, is it?
No, that's not right.
That's not. I don't know about that.
Uh, well, hello everybody again. Good to see you. Welcome back to our porch.
Yes,
That's porch.
sort of our porch.
Sort of our porch.
Hmm.
Anyway, we're having fun talking. What a crazy week going on, huh? The past couple of weeks. Wow. Attempted
Yeah,
assassins and presidential potentials changing and all kinds of stuff, man. It'd make for great cinema. I mean,
right.
yeah. I mean, you think about it. Think about.
Yeah.
Did you know? Not to break off from that, but did you know one of my favorite movies, Spartacus, Kirk
Oh,
Douglas?
sure.
Yeah. You know, there was a real Spartacus. That was all based on true history.
That's right.
There was a true gladiator uprising that just kicked Rome's butt
Hmm.
for quite a bit until they did capture him. And after they captured him, not only did they kill him and crucify them, they lined the roads with, I think it's like 2,000 people.
Mm,
2,000. Is that an incredible number? Can you imagine that?
2000.
2,000. Political oppression,
Yeah.
go my way or the highway. I'm not trying to make light of crucifixion, of course, on those highways, but wow.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen that film. I've seen it as a kid. I've seen it a
Hmm.
few times, and I always enjoyed the cinema of it,
Sure.
the story. But to know it really happened, wow. So why did they make that film? What's that film about? It's about a slave, right, who rises up and becomes a gladiator and realizing how horrible things are. It's just not fair. Fights against Rome, puts together an army of gladiators who are looking for freedom and the right to survive and choose their own. Wow, sounds like today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Things don't change much. And when we look at cinema, we look at films, you can see the political statements in films all the time.
Hmm.
Citizen Kane, a film not only touted as one of the best made films ever,
Right.
but look at its content about
Hmm.
power and the need for it and what people are willing to do to get it and to keep it. Nothing's changed, right?
So
Here we
true.
are in this political hot box where the struggle for power it doesn't seem to be necessarily two-sided. And here's what I mean by that. I see both sides, and I'm an independent thinker, as is Craig.
Right.
I can say, but it seems to be that we have this both sides struggling for the same position, but not the same reason. I see one side struggling to put back into power their choice of a leader, and that leader professing to be the leader
Yeah.
and the person who should be in power and has been there before, lost, and is coming back. And then we have the other position where they're not necessarily looking to put one particular leader, but necessarily a cause.
Hmm.
What is that cause? A democratic cause, the right to choose, the right to vote, the right to be heard, a democratic society where equal responsibility, nobody's above the law, everybody pays fair share in taxes. Well, are those the same platforms over here on this side where they're struggling for unipower, one person? I don't think so.
Hmm.
I generally don't like to make political statements, but unfortunately, we seem to be at a point in time in life where
Yeah.
if we don't, what's next? What do you see, Craig?
No, I would agree with you. Those are the times, David. But when you say that about cinema, that it's truly woven in most every film. I can't say every film, but most every film. You know, you kind of touched something. I think about Schindler's List. You know, you look at that film and how powerful that film was or is for the viewers, and maybe those few that haven't seen it. And then you roll that up, let's say, also to present day, David. You know, um, and we see where history can and does repeat itself. I mean, the film that we're in the pre-production stage, um, involving the Salem witch trials. You know, where you have situations where false allegations can lead to mob mentality, if you will, false claims. Um, and we're going through that present time, you know, and it's it makes one angry, sad. Um,
Let's talk about that for a minute.
yeah.
You said something interesting about the Salem witch trials. You know
Hmm.
that how an angry mob can create this dynamic, this force where everybody drives towards what they believe is a common just cause,
Right.
regardless of right or wrong.
Right.
The mentality is such that they believe what they're doing is just.
Hmm.
You know, and a lot of things have occurred as a result of that, hangings, burnings, all, throughout history. You know, we don't need to talk about our own country that way because yeah, we know what's gone on, but in particular that one in the 1600s where the struggle was really political. And it, although people say no, it was about religion, well, no.
Hmm.
Religion dominated politics at the time, and the political dynamics of the environment were broken up into communities. There were little sects within miles of each other, and they would influence or conflict with each other, and as a result, they were constantly at struggle for power. Power.
Right.
Here we go again. Power.
Yeah.
And the power was remaining in the doctrine and
Hmm.
those who espoused it. But one person told a lie and a falsehood and claimed that other people were witches, and everybody went with it. Why? Were they looking for excuses, a whipping post, somebody to blame it on, a patsy, if you will? For whatever reason, perhaps yes, a lot of people died. Yeah, and those the Salem witch trials, you know, those movies have been made about that, but movies have been made about many political things that we don't really look at, you know, necessarily as a political statement.
Hmm.
You know, one of the movies that comes to mind, Little Big Man with Dustin Hoffman,
Oh, sure.
runs through a myriad of characters, lives to be an old man, and he's telling his history to a reporter about how he knew George Custer and he was raised with the Indians. And it's a great movie, full of adventure and I mean, characterizations and just Dustin Hoffman's just awesome.
Hmm.
One of my favorite actors. Uh,
Sure.
but it's also a movie, one of the first that's told from the perspective of the Indian,
That's
of
right.
the Native American. Great film, very political, extremely political. As I think about films, and Craig and I were talking about this earlier, I've always believed that politics and art go hand in hand. I mean, think of great painters. Diego Rivera, for example, one of the greatest muralists of our time, modern time, of the 19th century, 20th century, pardon me, 20th century. And incredible, incredible. And his art, not just magnificently beautiful, but extremely political,
Hmm.
extremely. Most art was that way. Look at what's happening right now. Think about Michelangelo's David. Not to bring up my name or anything, but Think about Michelangelo. Think about
Then we'll
Michelangelo.
segue back to you.
Yeah, we'll stay away from that. Hey, they're trying to put some underwear on the dude, man. They're trying
No,
to,
no, no,
they want to censor his stuff. I'm like, oh, give me a
no.
break.
You can't be serious.
I'm serious. There people are talking all kind of stuff about Trump, and that's a very political statement, even though it's embedded in so-called social doctrine. What's decent? What's that? Oh, what's decent? Oh my gosh! Come on, it's a statue. Give me a break. It's an
Oh my gosh.
incredible. What's next? The Pieta? I mean, come on.
You know,
I don't.
I like to think I'm pretty dialed into things like that. I mean, I have several news items always hitting my iPhone during the day. I miss that, and you have to ask yourself, what group of people would come together and be offended by that art? People that live in this era and take it upon themselves that think they are such critics or whatever their line of asinine thinking is, to say, well, that needs to be covered up. I find that frankly highly offensive.
Well, here's the
I
thought. Think about the visitor from here, okay, from the United States, goes over there, spends a lot of money, goes all the way over there to be offended. What? Wait a minute. You just planned a vacation to go someplace to dislike something, to put yourself in front of something that is offensive to you, and now you think that it should be taken down. That's kind of like going to the lion's cage and sticking your hand in the cage and being mad because the lion bit you.
That's right. And then blame the lion for doing its lion thing, and then suing the zoo.
Exactly. And worse yet, the offended party probably took a picture of them with the offensive object in the background.
That's right. It's like that woman. I'm sure you saw the video. She got out of her car to have a picture taken with a buffalo. The buffalo did what buffaloes do, pummeled her dumb ass. How do you think that's going to play out? You know I've said this a few times. There ain't no fix for dumb. So yeah.
No fix for dumb. Once you got it, you got it. It's yours. You keep it. And don't get me wrong, we've all been there. I've done some pretty dumb things, believe me.
Well, sure. Doing dumb things, that's one thing.
Repeating dumb things.
But I think that's okay at times. But
let me ask you something. Is it a repetition of dumb things or repeating exactly the same dumb thing? For example, I once
that would go to a level of insanity. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
I once drove a car backward in reverse off a 60-foot cliff. Okay, into the sand at night. Okay, that's my excuse. At night, I got a couple other excuses, but we won't discuss too many of them. Another time, I with a couple of guys and two Canadian women. I don't know where their head was. Hiked into the base of a volcano. And spent the night in a horrific thunderstorm with lightning bolts striking, 15, 20 feet away and, blowing us all to hell. And I never did that again. So those two things I never repeated, see.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Dumb thing,
Yeah.
You get where I'm going. Okay.
Yeah. And I have stories that we could go on and have a couple of beers on the porch here, and we have a lot of good laughs, right? But we make films, so we know we're not really dumb guys. Or maybe I don't know.
That sounds like an oxymoron.
That's exactly right. So what? That doesn't really prove much of anything now,
How
does
many
it? You make
smart people make
yeah.
films? I mean, think
Because
about
yeah, I was gonna say, just because you make a film doesn't matter diddly do. Doesn't really matter.
it.
But
Yeah. And the making of a film, I mean, what goes into the making of a film? We've talked about this many times, you and I, and it's
yeah.
always such a myriad of different factors that each one has a total topic and subtopics within themselves. Just writing a
Hmm.
script, just writing a script. And I think that's why so many people take scripts from history
Hmm.
such as Spartacus or some of these other. I won't talk about Napoleon, the recent
Oh boy.
Napoleon, but you get the idea. That's why people take,
I'll
you
just have to
know,
say one thing about that film. You just have to walk away thinking, huh? But anyhow, I don't want to take you off topic.
yeah, poor guy. We could have called him. Never mind.
No,
Anyway,
no, yeah.
yeah, we
We'll
won't go
start
down
talking
there.
about it.
So, but that's an easy way to do it.
Hmm.
And why reinvent the wheel if you got a good something like Spartacus or Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
Actually, from history. Great films. Pearl Harbor, the movie that came out years back.
Hmm.
Great film. I loved watching it. Exciting. It had all the elements. But
Right.
what are we really talking about when we're talking about writing a screenplay? We're talking about taking an aspect of life, one
Hmm.
chunk, one event perhaps, with a series of events that may be collateral attached to it, but one event and discussing it. That's it. The concept: arrive late, leave early.
Hmm.
You see it all the time. I love the concept. They don't explain a damn thing. You just hear an alarm going off. Two guys run out of the bank. You already know what's going on. You got half the film
Right.
already in your head. It's a bank robbery. Boom, they jump in the car. We went through this. Next scene, they're sitting at the dinner table with mom. She made stew for everybody and her boys who robbed the
Right.
bank. So we left early. We showed up late to it. The bank robbery already happened. We
Right.
left early. We just see them driving away. Then we arrived late. Mom's already halfway through the dinner. Everybody's eating. And we're going to leave early. Somebody's so if you keep that concept in mind, just in screenwriting, that might help you. But that's just one component. Then what do? Then we take all that thing and we take it apart. And we see what's in it now. All the locations. So all the line producing that goes with this, organizing everything, uh, all the locations, all the different characters, all the different props they may have for every single scene. Is it interior, exterior, night, day? Oh, we have to determine all those things that are required for every single scene. So every single scene is
Hmm.
broken up then in its own little unit so that we can contain it. Boom. And then after we've done all that, which is a whole lot to do for everything, we start putting together a budget. What's all this going to cost us? After we know what we got, oh my God. Then we figure out what's it going to cost us and we start rewriting.
Yeah, we say, well, wait a minute. We don't
Yeah,
need all that stuff.
that's right.
That's when you
Maybe
go back to. That's when you go back to what do you want and what do you need.
exactly. What does the story really need to be told? Of course, we do
Yeah.
shoestring cinema, as you folks probably know, but we have a good time doing it. I mean, Craig and I. The only thing I can imagine is that we each have a bit of a sadist and masochist inherent in our personality, uh, because we beat each other up and we enjoy doing it to each. You see, I can't figure that out. Sick,
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah.
But that's the business we're
Yeah.
in. Hey, I think it's
Yeah.
called life,
That's right.
politics, the politics of life. It's everywhere all the time, in everything. It's in art.
Isn't that
That's why I
true?
would sometimes, and I got to say this, Craig, I have problems
Hold,
with
I
artists.
don't know. Maybe, are you sure? Are you sure you do? No.
Well, you're right. I don't got to say it, but I'm going to
No,
make a choice
I'm
to
just
say
being a
it.
punk. I'm just being a punk.
Nope, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Everything's a
So go
choice.
ahead, say it. I'm
Never a
ready.
have to
I'm
be.
ready, Captain.
All right, here you go. All right,
Here I'm buckled in.
I'm ready,
Here we
man.
go. I'm ready.
This is what I'm
Hit me.
talking about.
Hit me.
All you artists out there who claim to be somewhat of a concerned citizen, we need to hear from you. That's right. We need to
Okay,
hear from you. And we
that's
need to
becoming
hear
creepy
from
now.
you
That's like creepy
now.
grandpa.
Okay. So what I'm really saying here, folks, is take a position. Art is political. Take a position this way, that way, but don't hide behind. And I get this from a lot of actors. They're afraid to speak a position because, oh, they might offend somebody. Well, if
Uh,
they're offended by your position, why would you want to work with them anyway? If they're offended by your character and your personality, why
yeah,
would you want to work with them anyway?
yeah.
I don't want to. It's already difficult. I mean, ask anybody who's worked with me
Or us.
or us.
Don't,
It's
don't, don't come to me and we'll go back to you and say, I don't know which one is a nice guy. Neither one of them.
He's so right. He's so right. So, there comes a point where Spartacus has to speak. Or I got a film for you that I love, Network.
Oh,
If you've
yes.
not seen the movie, see the movie. Great acting, great directing. Oh my gosh, top stars in it, top stars.
Yes,
You got to
sir,
watch
David.
that movie, and then you'll understand why sometimes I'm eh, mad as hell, and I'm just not going to take it anymore. So watch the movie. I think you'll find it. It too is extremely political, but most great
Here,
movies.
David, if I may, and that's one of my favorite films. Here's a little bit of movie trivia. Who said that line, won the Oscar, and about a week after being on Johnny Carson, died? But who was the actor who said the line and won the Oscar for leaning out the window and screaming that I'm mad as hell, I won't take it anymore, I can't take it anymore? Who was the actor?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah,
Let's ask the audience. Have them come in. Have them watch
I'll
the
make it
movie.
easy. Peter Finch.
Exactly right, Peter Finch. But I think
He
uh,
was such a great actor.
incredible actor.
Oh,
And that scene, he worked that scene. Oh
oh.
my gosh.
You know what I like that you mentioned that. That is just as he was screaming that, just from his soul, that he just erupted like for any one of us. It's just like you hit that point, right? That I'm mad as hell. I can't take it anymore. It's just like wow, and won the Oscar, rightfully so. I didn't mean
his
to
first,
step on your lines there, but
no,
great,
no,
great film.
no, you're absolutely right. His frustration, his
Yeah.
truth. And that brings up an interesting topic, and we'll segue to that. Acting. No matter how well written something is, if it's not portrayed uh, effectively, correctly,
Right.
and correctly, I shouldn't use that word, but effectively, it's
Hmm.
lost.
Or
Uh,
authentically, maybe.
Authentically, yeah, authentically, a better word. How do you do that? How do you connect to a line somebody else wrote? How do
Right.
you make it your own? Well, we talk about that all the time. Don't act, be. What does that mean? As a young actor, I was about as confused as trying to explain what light is. I knew when I seen it, and I could identify it, but I couldn't tell you what it was. Okay, and so the light oftentimes escaped me as a young
Mhm.
actor, thinking about that being. Till one day I realized that what they're really telling you, and Peter Finch just portrayed it so tremendously, authentically well. He believed it.
That's right.
He wasn't just spouting lines. That was his truth.
He
That
wasn't
was his
acting.
frustrations of life.
Yeah.
Most good actors, I think, really do propound their frustrations of life in their scenes, whether it's comedic or dramatic or whatever it is, doesn't matter. That's what comes out. We really hear the authentic emotions. We feel them because they feel them. They feel them. And go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say, and to that point, at a lesser level, Evil Down the Street, as you wrote that scene where my character comes across the street with my wife and we're having that, the conversation, and I'm listening to her, and she was talking so much in the driveway. Now, you had not written it in the scene there. And as we leave, I'm telling her, I said, you talk too damn much. She goes, blah, 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 whatever her lines were. That was never in. And people afterwards are commenting that seems so real, so authentic, and they could relate to maybe a wife telling a husband, I talk too much, or vice versa. But I'm listening to her, I'm thinking, she's talking. You had to acknowledge that. So it's like, to your point,
well,
whatever's going on, be your authentic self.
You were for real.
Yes.
You don't like that type of behavior from
Well, it takes me back to, well, it doesn't matter what it takes me back to, but right, I don't like that. Yeah, nobody does. Yeah, nobody does. It's just like, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's an aggravating, it's annoying, and you played it for what it was, and that's what made it work.
Mm-hmm.
And all good actors are paying attention. I tell actors, I go, when you're in a scene and you got an itch, scratch it. I go, provided it stays within character. I mean, if your butt itches, if it's not within character,
use discretion.
Yeah, hold that one. But if it's you got something in your head or something, scratch it.
I know.
That's a blessing. Yeah. There's some reality. And you'll start to relax yourself. That will actually relax you if you pay attention to that stuff.
True.
So I've always felt that, since we went from talking about scripts, acting, how do you develop character? How do you understand lines? What's really being said? Well, you have to understand a whole lot of things, relationship of all the other characters, even your relationship to your environment, down to, are you ready for this? Drum roll. The relationship to your own clothing. How you feel within the very clothing you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Behave and feel differently in different types of clothing.
Right.
So characters act differently depending upon what they're wearing. Period. Boom. So, I mean, simple things. So making a film, we talked about what? Perhaps developing a script. We didn't even talk about how. We just talked about you got to do that.
Well, and maybe, brother, we're coming up to our 30-minute mark, and we can maybe save that for the next time the likes of you and me are on the porch.
Sounds good to me. And in the interim, I would like everybody to think something real simple. Our country is a democratic society based on a constitution that gives and affords rights to everybody.
Amen.
Everybody, across the board.
Amen.
Amen. Vote for your constitutional rights. Vote for your right to vote.
Amen.
Vote for a democratic society.
That's right.
Period.
And in the eyes of God, we are all created equal.
Absolutely.
No person is any greater.
On that note, Kamala, Biden, boom. There we go.
Right.
Peace
out.